All right, found the right paper. All right, this is the last lesson for chapter 2. We are going to be doing graphing in 4 quadrants, so you'll notice we're also using our integers for this. You have an ordered pair, your x-coordinate and your y-coordinate. Your x-coordinate is going to tell you if you're going to go left or right. So a negative would be left, a positive would be right. So you always start with that. And then your y-coordinate tells you if you go up or down. If it's a negative, you're going to go down. If it's a positive, you're going to go up. So start with the x, left or right, and then go to your y. And I always remember this too. You have to run before you jump, or I always think you have to get out of bed before you can run, so you can think of that first. All right, so I want you to take a minute, pause the video, and go ahead and graph and label each point on the coordinate plane. Now it's going to also ask you to name the quadrant, and if you look up here, you'll notice your 4 quadrants. I always think of it as a big C from where the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 go. All right, so you should have A, E, and I all being in quadrant 1, G being in quadrant 2, L, D, B, and J are all in quadrant 3, and C, H, K, and F are all in quadrant 4. Go ahead and check your work for that. All right, and then in 13, you are just naming the ordered pair for each one. So go ahead and do that. Just make sure, like if you do letter A, you're doing your x-coordinate first. That's your left or right. So A goes -2 to the left, and then up 2. So go ahead and write all those in. All right, so then we're going to get into some word problems here. The difference between Laura and Evelyn's golf score is 3. If X represents Laura's score and Y represents Evelyn's score, make a table of possible values for X and Y. All right, so X is going to be Laura and Y is going to be Evelyn. And the difference between them is 3. So if Laura had 0, Evelyn would have 3. If Lauren would have 1, Evelyn would have 4, and so on. You can even throw some negatives in there. If Laura was -3, that means Evelyn would have been 0. And then you're going to graph them. And you should notice that they make a straight line if you were to connect them. So that's what we would call a linear relationship. 24. The sum of 2 soccer team scores is 6. If X represents the scores of team 1 and Y is the other team, we'll call that one team 2, make a table of possible values. So we know they have to equal 6, so come up with anything that would equal 6. I'm going to do 4 and 2. And then graph those. All right, and it looks to me like those would also be into a straight line there. Now, when they're giving you the graph and they're asking you to create the table, all you need to do is place your ordered pairs on there. So the first one down here is -3, 1. The second one is -2, 0, and then you can keep going. (26) wants you to draw a triangle with those vertices. Multiply each coordinate of the vertices by -1. Okay, so if we're, so now it's going to be -4, -2, 2, -1, -5, and 2. So I'll use a different color for those. So -4, maybe I should connect these first, so we can see the difference in the triangles once we make both of them. So -4, -2, 2, -1, and -5, +2. Okay, and then you can compare them. What do they look like? What happened to them? And then you can do the same thing with the rectangle on the next page, except for you're subtracting 3 for each one of those. And then compare the two rectangles. All right, so there's your notes for graphing in 4 quadrants.